Hello everyone, welcome to the Net Insight use case series. Today, we'll be showcasing one of the newest additions to the Net Insight Nimbra family, Nimbra Edge, our enterprise-grade cloud-based media engine. So why have we decided to put together this presentation and would like you to stay with us for the next couple minutes? Well, it's obvious that the current coronavirus situation is forcing everyone to adapt, and it's had a substantial impact on most organizations. One of the trends that we saw emerging in the professional media workflow over the last couple of years was the use of remote production. Now, what we're seeing, not only for media companies, but also for all sorts of companies, all the way to governments, is the use of in-home studios. So for your next question is probably, what are in-home studios and why I should care? Well, as more and more people are being advised to stay at home, obviously, companies and governments need to keep the machinery going. So how do you do that given the current social distancing measures? At this point, no one really knows how long the situation will last and what are the ways to get out of it. But what we do know is that there are ways and technology to minimize the impact on the daily operations. Can democracies work from home like many of us? Well, we'd like to think that the answer is yes, and we'll show you how it can be done over the next couple of slides. When it comes to limiting in-person meetings, there's really no option but for governments to simply move online. But how do you do that in a reliable, simple, and secure fashion? One of the unique requirements of holding government sessions is the ability to have a very large number of people actively contributing and participating in the ongoing discussions and debates. But how do you do that while ensuring that all participants are safe and sound? Here's an idea of what the architecture can look like, where you see on the right-hand side, you've got all the participants that are contributing content using a residential internet connection that can be as low as 3 megabits per second. And then essentially, at the master control, the control room, they're able to pull all the different feeds from all the different participants and essentially select them and ingest them in their existing video infrastructure. So you basically minimize the changes that are needed in the back end. I suggest we now turn our attention to the participants and review what's needed for them to effectively join in the conversation. One of the unique propositions of Nimbra Edge Cloud is its ability to support a hybrid model, where you bring the flexibility of video conferencing, but also of broadcast live streaming. As you can see from the diagram, Nimbra Edge has the ability to support a very large number of streaming protocols, things like REST, SRT, or ZXI, but also can support software clients, where you can essentially use an iOS or Android device or even a laptop to contribute content up to Nimbra Edge. In turn, the openness, scalability, and ease of use of Nimbra Edge is going to allow for a very large number of participants to be able to join in without the hurdle of creating private connections. I'd like to reemphasize the fact that the configuration and the setup for each participant can be drastically different. You may have locations where you need to support broadcast grade video quality and other locations that only require consumer grade devices. Here's an example of what it can look like. This was put together by a North American partner where they basically leverage a smartphone and a small monitor using a converter HDMI to SDI to feed the NetInsight Nimbra that acts as the gateway to Nimbra Edge. You can think of Nimbra Edge as a video router in the cloud. Once a camera feed hits Nimbra Edge, it becomes an input to that very large matrix that can then be distributed, produced, or turned back around as a return feed. To further illustrate my video router analogy, this is what the control room setup can look like, where basically if you've got receivers already, you can leverage those, or you can use NetInsight's Nimbra boxes to essentially terminate as many connections as you need. Even if you have a very large number of participants, You don't necessarily need them all. You just need to switch the outputs so that you can selectively choose a handful of sources that you can feed to your router. In the production facility, depending in what format the signals need to be ingested, there may be a need to have some kind of converters to go from IP to SDI, but it's not mandatory. So to summarize, you need to leverage UDP? You can do that. Baseband? No problem. Encoding, decoding? We've got you covered. I'm hoping you found this little presentation to be educational. Nimbra Edge brings the highest level of control over your video applications. We're suspecting that over the next few weeks, as the corona situation unfolds, we're going to see more and more and more video being integrated into business applications. Nobody really knows how long it will last, but what's for sure is there may be drastic changes to the way we operate and the way we interact one with another. In the meantime, corporate and governments alike can leverage technology that's been used by broadcasters for a very long time. We've got a talent or an anchor sitting in the comfort of their home and be able to sit on panels, conferences, or briefings from afar.